I always thought I had it all figured out. I was married to Aaron, a man who made me laugh and filled our home with warmth. My job as a graphic designer brought me joy, and my best friend Lila was the sister I never had. Together, we navigated life's ups and downs, sharing secrets and dreams over countless cups of coffee. Yet, as I prepared for Aaron's surprise birthday party, I felt an unsettling shift in the air, a whisper of something amiss. "Clara, are you sure we have enough balloons?" Lila asked, her voice tight as she arranged the vibrant colors on the table. I noticed the way her fingers trembled slightly. Her usually bright eyes seemed clouded, as if she were carrying a weight I couldn't see. "Of course! It's going to be perfect," I said, forcing a smile. I wanted to believe my own words, but deep down, I sensed that something was off. Lila had always been the bubbly one, the one who could light up any room. Yet now, she seemed distant, lost in thoughts that swirled like dark clouds overhead. "Is everything okay with you?" She paused, looking away. "Yeah, just a lot on my mind." I felt a knot tighten in my stomach. "You know you can talk to me, right?" "Sure, I know." But the way she avoided my gaze told me that whatever was troubling her was deeper than she was willing to share. I wanted to pull her into a warm embrace and tell her that she could lean on me, but I also feared that doing so might expose my own vulnerabilities. As the evening approached and guests began to arrive, I tried to shake off the unease that clung to me. Laughter filled the room, and I watched as Aaron greeted our friends with his charming smile, the kind that made my heart flutter even after all these years. But still, my attention kept drifting back to Lila. She stood at the edge of the crowd, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. "Clara, come join us," Aaron called, his voice bright with excitement. I glanced at Lila, who gave me a small nod, urging me to go. I didn't want to leave her alone, but I also wanted to enjoy this moment. "All right, I'm coming," I replied, forcing a cheerfulness I didn't quite feel. As I joined the group, I tried to engage in conversations, but my thoughts kept drifting. What was going on with Lila? As the night wore on, I poured myself a glass of wine, hoping it would ease my worries. The laughter echoed around me, but attention lingered beneath the surface. I caught Lila's eye across the room, and for a moment, it felt like the world faded away. I saw something in her expression that sent a shiver down my spine, a mixture of longing and fear. "Clara, you okay?" Aaron asked, concern etched on his face. "Yeah, just a little tired," I replied, but it was a lie. The truth was that I was on the brink of something I couldn't quite name, something that threatened to disrupt the fragile balance of my life. Later, when the party began to wind down, I found Lila in the kitchen, staring out the window. "You okay?" I asked softly, stepping beside her. "Just thinking," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the fading laughter. "About what?" I prompted, my heart racing. "About us. About everything." She turned to face me, her expression serious. "I feel like things are changing." "Change can be good," I said, but inside, I felt a flicker of fear. What if the change she sensed was something we couldn't handle? "Maybe," she said, biting her lip. "But sometimes, it feels like we're losing something important." I nodded, the weight of her words settling in my chest. What if our friendship was under threat? I never wanted to lose Lila, but I could sense the storm brewing. As the night deepened, I felt a mixture of hope and dread. The world outside was dark, but inside, the possibilities felt electric. What were we really hiding from each other? And could our friendship survive whatever was lurking in the shadows? The night of Aaron's surprise party finally arrived, a night I had planned meticulously. The house was filled with laughter and joyful chatter. Friends gathered around, their faces bright with excitement. But as I looked around, I felt an unsettling tension lurking beneath the surface. I forced a smile, trying to shake off the feeling. but it clung to me like a shadow. "Clara, come here. We need you for the toast," Aaron called out, his voice warm and inviting. He was the picture of happiness, and seeing him like this made my heart swell. I walked over, my mind still racing with thoughts of Lila. Why had she been so distant lately? As I raised my glass, I glanced at Lila across the room. She stood with a forced smile, her eyes darting away from mine as if she could sense my concern. I felt a knot tighten in my stomach. I wanted to reach out to her, to pull her into my world of joy, but I also sensed something unspoken hanging between us. After the toast, the party shifted into full swing. I poured myself a glass of wine, hoping it would ease the tension I felt. Lila joined me, a glass in her hand. "You're doing great, Clara," she said, her voice slightly slurred. "Thanks, Lila, but you don't seem like yourself. Is everything okay?" I asked, my worry spilling out. She shrugged, her smile fading for a moment. "Just tired, I guess. Life has been complicated." Her words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. I reached out to touch her arm. "You know you can talk to me about anything, right?" Lila nodded, but I could see the walls she had built around herself. "Let's just enjoy the night," she said, her tone lightening as she took a sip of her wine. As the night progressed, laughter echoed through the room, but I felt drawn to Lila. The more I drank, the more I wanted to share my thoughts with her. "Do you remember that time we snuck out to the beach?" I asked, giggling at the memory. Her eyes sparkled with mischief. "Of course. You dared me to jump into the water fully clothed. I thought I would freeze to death." I laughed. "But you did it. You were fearless." Lila leaned closer, her face lit by the soft glow of the lights. "You were always the brave one, Clara. I admired that about you." In that moment, something shifted between us. Our laughter faded, and the electric connection between us grew stronger. I could feel my heart racing as I looked into her eyes. "What if we let go of the past for just a moment?" I whispered, surprised by my own boldness. "Are you sure?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I nodded, feeling a rush of desire mixed with fear. "Let's just be us." With that, we leaned in, and our lips met in a soft, tentative kiss. It felt like the world around us disappeared. All the laughter and chatter faded away, leaving just the two of us in that moment. It was electric, overwhelming, and utterly forbidden. As we pulled away, reality crashed back in. I felt a mix of pleasure and guilt flood through me. "Oh my God, Lila, what did we just do?" I stammered, panic rising in my chest. "I don't know, Clara, but it felt right," she said, her cheeks flushed. "But what about Aaron? What about everything?" I felt my heart racing, my mind spinning with the consequences of our actions. "I don't have the answers. I just know that this connection is real," she replied, searching my eyes for understanding. I stepped back, the weight of my choices crashing down on me. I had crossed a line that could never be uncrossed. The joy of the night felt tainted now, and I could hardly breathe. "I need to think," I finally said, my voice trembling. I turned away, feeling the warmth of the party fade into a cold reality. I was standing at the edge of something I could never take back, and the fear of what lay ahead gripped me tightly. In the days that followed the party, I felt like I was walking around with a heavy stone in my chest. Guilt wrapped around me like a thick fog, making it hard to breathe. Every time I looked at Aaron, his warm smile felt like a knife twisting deeper into my heart. He had no idea what I was hiding, and that made everything worse. "Clara, are you okay?" he asked one evening as I stood by the window, staring out at the fading light. I turned to him, forcing a smile that felt fake even to me. "Of course. Just a little tired from all the party planning," I replied, trying to sound casual. But the truth was, my mind was racing with thoughts of Lila. As I prepared dinner, I felt Aaron's eyes on me. "You've been distant lately. Is something bothering you?" he said, concern lining his voice. "No, really. Everything is fine," I insisted. But even as I said the words, I could feel the weight of my secret pressing down on me. I was caught in a storm of conflicting feelings. How could I want Lila and still love Aaron? Later that week, I met Lila in secret. We chose a small cafe tucked away from the busy streets, hoping no one would see us. The moment I walked in and saw her sitting there, my heart raced. She looked beautiful, but there was a tension in her posture that matched my own inner turmoil. "Hey," I said softly, sliding into the chair across from her. "Hey," she replied, her eyes darting around the room as if she was afraid someone would overhear us. Silence hung between us, thick and uncomfortable. I could see the worry in her eyes, mirroring my own. Finally, I broke the silence. "Lila, we need to talk about what happened at the party." She nodded, biting her lip. "I know. I've been thinking about it a lot. I didn't mean for things to get so intense." "Me neither," I admitted, feeling the heat rise in my cheeks. "But I can't stop thinking about you. It feels so wrong, but it also feels so right." Lila leaned in closer, her voice barely a whisper. "Clara, I want to be honest with you. I care about you deeply, but I don't want to ruin your marriage. I can't be the reason you hurt Aaron." Her words hit me hard. "But what about us? What about what we shared?" I felt a mix of anger and sadness. My heart ached for the connection we had, but I also knew the truth of her words. "I don't know if I can go back to just being friends after what happened," she said, her voice trembling. "It's too complicated now." I looked away, feeling tears prick at the corners of my eyes. "I'm so confused. I love Aaron, but I can't ignore what I feel for you. It's like I'm living a lie." Lila reached across the table, her hand brushing against mine. "Clara, you need to figure out what you really want. Do you want the safety and comfort of your marriage? Or do you want to explore this thing between us?" Her question hung in the air, heavy and daunting. I felt as if I was standing at a crossroads, torn between two paths. "I don't know," I confessed, my voice barely above a whisper. "I don't want to hurt anyone, but I can't deny my feelings for you." We spent the rest of our time together, in a cloud of unspoken words, both of us knowing that our friendship was changing in ways we could not control. As I left the cafe, I felt the weight of my choices pressing down on me even more. Every moment with Aaron felt like a reminder of my betrayal. I had to decide soon what I wanted, but the answer eluded me. The thrill of a forbidden connection danced in my mind, but so did the loyalty I felt towards Aaron. As I lay in bed that night, I stared at the ceiling, my heart heavy with uncertainty. I wanted to scream, to cry, to let out all the confusion swirling inside of me. But all I could do was lie there, trapped between the shadows of friendship and the bonds of love, wondering how I would ever find my way out. The days following the party felt like a heavy fog that wouldn't lift. I moved through my life in a daze, each moment filled with the weight of my choices. I would glance at Aaron, his smile bright and trusting, and my heart would twist painfully in my chest. How could I keep lying to him? I needed to talk to Lila. I needed to confront the mess we had created together. I texted Lila, asking her to meet at our favorite cafe. The moment I stepped inside, the familiar scent of coffee and pastries wrapped around me, but it did nothing to ease the tension in my stomach. I spotted Lila sitting in a corner, her fingers nervously tapping on the table. I took a deep breath and walked over, forcing a smile that felt more like a mask. "Hey," I said, sliding into the seat across from her. "Thanks for coming." Lila looked up, her eyes shadowed with worry. "I wasn't sure if you'd want to see me after, you know." "I need to talk about it," I admitted, my voice barely a whisper. About what happened at the party. Lila nodded slowly, her gaze dropping to the table. I've been thinking about it too. A lot. It can't happen again, I said, my heart racing. I can't keep doing this to Aaron. It's not fair to him. What about us, Clara? Lila's voice cracked, and she finally looked up, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. What about what we felt? I felt the familiar rush of emotions swell inside me. Confusion, longing, guilt. I don't know. Everything feels so tangled. I care about you, but I love him. I just don't know how to fix this. Fix it? Lila repeated, her voice rising. You think it can just be fixed? What we did? It changed everything. I can't pretend it didn't happen. Her words hit me like a punch. I felt the truth of it deep down, but I didn't want to acknowledge it. You're right, but we have to set boundaries. We can't keep meeting like this. Not when it feels like we're crossing lines we shouldn't. Boundaries? Lila scoffed, crossing her arms. Is that all you want? To pretend nothing happened? To go back to being just friends? I sighed, frustration bubbling inside me. I'm trying to protect us, Lila. I'm trying to protect my marriage. I don't want to hurt Aaron, but I also don't want to lose you. Her eyes softened for a moment, but then a shadow crossed her face again. You're already losing me, Clara. You're pulling away. You think I don't see it? I recoiled at her words. I'm not trying to pull away. I'm scared. I feel like I'm standing on the edge of a cliff, and one wrong step could send me tumbling down. Lila leaned forward, her voice low. You think I don't feel that way too? I'm scared of losing you, but I can't keep pretending everything is fine between us. It's not fair to either of us. I felt tears prick at my eyes. What do you want me to say? I don't know how to navigate this. I feel trapped between two worlds, and neither feels right. Then maybe it's time to choose, Clara, Lila said softly, her expression serious. You can't keep living in this limbo. You have to decide what you truly want. Her words hung in the air, heavy and unyielding. I felt as if I was teetering on the brink of a decision that could shatter everything I held dear. I wish it were that easy. Lila reached across the table, her hand brushing against mine. It's not easy, but it's necessary. I can't watch you hurt yourself trying to keep everything together. I pulled my hand away, a wave of guilt washing over me. I don't want to hurt you, Lila, but I don't know how to fix this. As I looked into her eyes, I saw the cracks forming in our friendship, the pain of unspoken truths threatening to break us apart. I felt the walls around my heart beginning to crumble, and I realized that both my marriage and my friendship were at a breaking point. The realization hit me hard. I couldn't keep pretending anymore. I found myself lost in thought, sitting on the edge of my bed, staring at the wall. The silence in the room felt heavy, almost suffocating. I could hear my heart pounding in my chest, a constant reminder of the storm brewing inside me. I needed to figure out what I truly wanted, and it felt impossible. I glanced at my phone, the screen lighting up with messages from Aaron. Can we talk tonight? I feel like something's off. His words sent a wave of guilt crashing over me. I wanted to scream, to tell him everything, but I also wanted to protect him from the truth. Okay? I typed back, my fingers trembling. I'll be home after work. As the day dragged on, I felt the weight of my choices pressing down on me. I couldn't shake the image of Lila from my mind. I remembered the way her eyes sparkled when she laughed and how her touch sent shivers down my spine. It was wrong, so wrong, yet it felt so right. I had crossed a line, and now I stood at the edge of a cliff, wondering whether to jump or to step back. That evening, I walked into our home, and the familiar smell of Aaron's cooking wrapped around me like a warm blanket. But instead of comfort, it only reminded me of the distance growing between us. "Hey, you're home," he called out, smiling as he stirred a pot on the stove. "Hey," I replied, trying to sound cheerful. "Dinner will be ready in a minute. I made your favorite." "Thanks," I said, forcing a smile. My heart ached at the thought of hurting him. As we sat down to eat, the atmosphere felt charged with unspoken words. Aaron looked at me, his brow furrowed with concern. "Clara, what's going on? You seem really distracted lately." "I'm fine," I said, but even I could hear the lie in my voice. "Clara, please, I know you better than that. You can talk to me." His voice was gentle, but it held a firmness that made me want to break down. I took a deep breath, feeling the tears prick at my eyes. I've been thinking a lot about things." "What things?" he pressed, his eyes searching mine. "I don't know if I can explain it," I admitted, my voice trembling. "Try. I'm here for you," he said, reaching across the table to take my hand. In that moment, I felt the warmth of his love, and it felt like a knife twisting in my gut. I've been feeling really confused about everything lately. About us. About Lila." "Lila?" he echoed, his expression shifting to concern. "Yes," I whispered, feeling the weight of the truth hanging in the air. "I don't know how to say this without hurting you. Just be honest with me, Clara. Please." I pulled my hand away, the distance between us feeling insurmountable. "I care about Lila. It's more than friendship, Aaron. It's complicated." His face fell, and I saw the hurt in his eyes. "Complicated how?" I hesitated, my heart racing. I shared something with her that I shouldn't have. I didn't mean for it to happen, but it did. "Are you saying you love her?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. I closed my eyes, the weight of my confession pressing down on me. I don't know what love is anymore. I just know I feel something for her that I can't ignore. Aaron stood up abruptly, pushing his chair back. "You should have thought about that before you crossed that line, Clara." "I know," I cried, standing up too. "I know I messed up, but it's not that simple. I didn't want to hurt you." "Then why did you?" he shouted, the pain in his voice cutting deeper than any words. "I don't know," I yelled back, tears streaming down my cheeks. "I'm lost. I don't know who I am or what I want. I just know I'm standing at a crossroads, and I can't see the way forward." Silence fell between us, thick and suffocating. I felt the walls closing in, and I knew I had to make a choice. Would I fight for my marriage, for the love I had with Aaron, or would I embrace the feelings I had for Lila, even if it meant breaking everything apart? In that moment, I realized I could no longer hide from the truth. I had to face the shadows of my heart, no matter how painful it would be. I stood in front of the mirror, staring at my reflection. The weight of my choices pressed down on me like a heavy blanket. I had made a decision, but the reality of it was still sinking in. I knew I had to face both Aaron and Lila. My heart raced as I thought about the confrontation that lay ahead. Taking a deep breath, I walked into the living room where Aaron sat, his face buried in a book. I had rehearsed what I wanted to say, but now, the words felt stuck in my throat. He looked up at me, a warm smile breaking across his face. "Hey, Clara, how was your day?" We need to talk," I said, my voice shaking slightly. The smile faded from his face, replaced by concern. "Can you put the book down?" "Sure," he replied, setting it aside. "What's wrong?" The moment felt heavy. I took a seat across from him, trying to gather my thoughts. "I've been doing a lot of thinking. About us. About everything." His brow furrowed. "What do you mean?" I hesitated, feeling tears prick at the corners of my eyes. I have feelings for Lila. Strong feelings. I never meant for it to happen, but it did." Aaron's expression shifted to one of shock and hurt. "Clara, I thought we were happy. I thought we had something good. How could you do this? I know it hurts, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. I never wanted to betray you. You mean the world to me, but I can't ignore what I feel for her. It's real, and it's not something I can just push away. He looked down, processing my words. So what do you want? To end our marriage? I don't know, I replied, feeling the weight of my choice. But I can't keep lying to you or to myself. I need to be honest about who I am. As the silence stretched between us, I felt the gravity of my decision. I stood up, needing to escape the intensity of the moment. I need to talk to Lila, I said softly. Aaron nodded, still looking hurt. Go. Just go. I left the house, my heart racing. The air felt thick as I drove to Lila's apartment. I needed to confront the feelings I had tried to ignore for so long. When I arrived, I knocked on the door, my hands trembling. Lila opened it, and her eyes widened in surprise. Clara, I wasn't expecting you. Can we talk? I asked, stepping inside. The familiar warmth of her home wrapped around me, but it felt different now, charged. What's going on? She asked, her brow furrowing. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my emotions. I spoke to Aaron. I told him everything. Her eyes grew wide. Oh God, what did he say? He's hurt, Lila. I don't know how to fix this, but I can't keep pretending that nothing is happening between us, I confessed. Lila stepped closer, her expression softening. Clara, I feel the same way. I've been so confused since that night. I didn't want to hurt you or Aaron, but I can't ignore my feelings either. My heart raced at her admission. So, what do we do now? I can't just walk away from everything I've built, but I can't walk away from you either. Lila took my hands in hers, her touch igniting something deep inside me. Maybe this is the moment we both need to face the truth. We have to make a choice, Clara. I nodded, feeling the weight of that choice. I know. I have to be honest with myself. I need to find out who I really am, even if it means letting go of my past. We stood in silence, the reality of our situation hanging in the air. I realized that love wasn't just about the people we cared for. It was also about being true to ourselves. I want to explore this with you, I finally said, my voice steady. But I need to figure out what this means for my life moving forward. Lila smiled softly, her eyes shining with understanding. I'll be here for you, whatever you decide. We'll figure this out together. Looking into her eyes, I felt a sense of hope. I was stepping into the unknown, but for the first time, I felt ready to embrace my journey of self-discovery. Share this story if you believe that love can conquer even the toughest challenges. Leave a comment about a time when an unexpected visit changed your life, and subscribe to the channel for more exciting stories like this one.